from the industry through the community, right into your home. It's the Green Room, and we're on. What's going on, everybody? It's Les from Cannabis Wiki. We are here with the award-winning cannabis social influencer, also best-selling author with over 2 million Facebook followers, over 130,000 Instagram followers. Our North American cannabis flower, your queen, Jackie Childs.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the Green Room.
What's going on, peeps?
What do you mean what's going on? I'm sitting next to you. We're about to do a really cool show. We're going to learn how to smoke a germ-free joint.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
That's today?
I follow this chick. She posted this video of like a shout out to all you coronavirus sufferers or whatever. And then I shared it and I love it. And I've got lots of people message me about what is that? What's she doing? So we thought we would have her on.
Oh, that's going to be smash.
Yeah.
All right.
It's going to be smash. Let's go.
Let's get into it.
Yeah.
All right. So,
Oh, because actually it was after I posted that you weren't feeling well, so you might have to miss a green room or two.
Well, let me say something before we
that you don't have the coronavirus.
Brittany
serious.
on, right? I gotta send some love to the people on that tapped into yours.
Wasn't that sweet?
Yeah. Some people sent me some love on that about get better, feel better, all that. I'm telling you, man, I felt that. Thanks for lifting up a brother. It only took me 2 days to get better, so I appreciate it. Appreciate the love.
It was really cute. Everyone's like, what's... And then I also got lots of private messages. What's wrong with them? Everyone just wanted to go, coronavirus!
No, I haven't traveled abroad. I've been right here at home, so I'm good.
You didn't travel with abroad?
No. I like the way she does that.
Introduce our guest.
Yo, today, guys, we have somebody super special, like everybody that stops
OG?
Inside the Green Room. Yeah, definite OG. Somebody that is going to be new for me to get to interview because of
a real influencer, not this fake influencer shit.
Yeah, there's some real shit I found out. So, guys, let me bring in Brittany Guerra. Did I say
Guerra?
Guerra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, welcome to the Green
What's
Room.
good?
Hi. I just said hi like I was talking to my kid there.
Hi.
Change that up.
That's all right.
Well, yes, I am.
Welcome to the Green Room.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
So, who are you? Tell us who is Brittany? For those of us that don't know.
Well,
Please.
there are lots of people that don't know.
Okay.
My name's Brittany Guerra. I guess I consider myself a cannabis activist. Started my career in 2009 with Cannabis Culture out in Vancouver. Lived out there for 5 or so years. Moved home, opened a vapor lounge, opened Hamilton's first dispensary. Continued on to Cannabis Culture, dispensaries.
Cool. Right here in Brantford, right?
Right here in Brantford, which was a shit show.
Does people actually know Cannabis Culture? Explain the Cannabis Culture.
So, Cannabis Culture, the business, or Cannabis Culture?
Cannabis, the
But
business.
we'll do both.
What is it all?
Both. We don't want to leave out nothing.
Okay. So, Cannabis Culture is a cannabis activist ran business for 25 years. Mm-hmm. Started originally as Cannabis in Canada magazine. And then from there, moved their name over to Cannabis Culture, I think as of issue 4 or 5. And it's a head shop in downtown Vancouver, 307 West Hastings Street. And it's just been an activism hub for the West Coast.
We visited when we were at Lyft.
Yeah.
Yeah. For the last 25 years, like you go in there and you just feel the vibes in the building and know that some serious change and serious activists have been built and created there. So I started my job there. There's also a vapor lounge, which I'm sure you guys know because you saw that as well.
Yep.
So it's like 3 floors of paradise in my mind. Anytime I smell cannabis, that's the first place my mind goes back to.
Oh.
It was my home and my birthplace as an activist, and like my only adult job from my 20th birthday was my first day all the way until now, basically.
Wow. I love this.
So what drew you there?
The weed.
She followed her nose.
Yeah. So I moved out west. I was in Ontario in Burlington.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's where I'm from.
Is it? Yeah.
Nelson High School, Lord Elgin.
Oh, I was every high school because I was
also
bad child.
MM.
And should we start the list?
Central.
Okay.
I actually got expelled from Elgin when it was Robert Bateman.
Oh.
And it just switched over.
Really?
Yeah. For smoking a joint on the roof.
Oh.
Look at you, activist from early.
Yeah. And that was the last time.
Now they're demolishing it. It's getting totally. Yeah.
I heard. I became really good friends with my hairdresser teacher there years down the road. Mm-hmm. So she's still a hairdressing teacher there. And we talk all the time. And weed brought us together, which was
Aw,
cool.
that's so cool.
She said, like, I always knew you'd be a cool kid, and like,
so cool. And I love that.
yeah, she was in her 20s when she was my teacher in grade 10, so she's still pretty young, and
Right.
we just vibe and have a great time, and happy that cannabis is legal now, and I can say that kind of thing, you know.
So you leave Vancouver and you come to Ontario.
Yeah.
So you open one and
I moved back for a boy. It worked out, thankfully. There wasn't much.
wait. You said you moved out for a boy.
I moved back for a boy.
Okay.
And it worked out. So he's my husband now. Otherwise, I would have moved right
wow.
back.
Wow.
Congrats.
Thank you.
And you have a cute little baby.
Yeah. Yeah. My little prohibition baby.
Blake?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
My
So-
prohibition baby.
She is.
That's not how I celebrated.
Well, it was like alcohol prohibition, weed prohibition, lots of stuff. But yeah, so I moved back to Hamilton, and I was just chilling because there wasn't really much of a weed scene going on. Like, I think there was one little vapor lounge that was open. And I had been in Vancouver for the dispensary boom and saw the incredible, like, powerful train that was. I actually opened a dispensary over there in Burnaby, which is on the, like, right beside Vancouver,
Wow.
on Boundary Road, basically, which is the divider between Vancouver and Burnaby, on the Burnaby side, which was my mistake because that's RCMP territory, and they didn't like that very much.
Oh,
so
damn.
I was only open for 2.5 months over there in 2011.
And then what happens? They knock on the door, or do they break the door down, or what happens?
They just walked in, like, there was
and said, "You're done."
Yeah, there was an open sign. I was actually, my manager was there, but basically they were awesome. Like, I've never had a negative experience with cops when it comes to cannabis.
Really?
Even-
Didn't you have a raid?
Yeah, but we'll get
Okay,
there.
we'll get there.
We'll get there. But they just walked in and said, like, my manager's name, you're under arrest, come on in. And basically I just went and turned myself in randomly at 420, like, exactly.
Oh,
It's
wow.
on my paperwork, like,
It says 420
yeah,
on
it's
it.
taken in at 420. So I was like, okay, I'll take it, fine, whatever. And spent a year on probation for that. And then I moved home and decided to open a vapor lounge off probation. And this building I got on Barton Street was so cool because there was, like, two sides.
Mhm.
And so I opened the one side as a lounge, and I just left the other side because Barton Street's super affordable. So, like, I got the whole building for nothing.
Still is.
And
right?
yeah, it still is. Everybody go to Barton Street.
Yeah, Barton Street.
And, like, I love Barton Street. It was my come up of my Ontario cannabis scene, and, you know, yeah, it's rough around the edges, and but we were right on Barton and Ottawa by the textile district, so it wasn't too bad.
They're by DeFasco.
Yeah, you get some stragglers, but that's, you know, typical.
I was one of those stragglers
Yeah.
once upon a time, but anyhow.
Me too. Me too. So then I kind of just sat on the other side for a while and had it empty, knowing, like, my plan was to eventually open a dispensary once I got the balls to do it. And then Justin Trudeau got in, and I'm like, okay, let's play ball. And that's when it all started. So I partnered with Weeds, Glass, and Gifts in the beginning. And because I was one of...
So at this time is what, 2016?
Yeah, 2016. Yeah,
Okay.
like 15 or 16, late 15, early 16. So I opened Weeds, Glass, and Gifts. And because I was the only Hamilton store and their Toronto stores were doing really well, I decided we would go our separate ways just because of, like, shipping issues, and it just wasn't working out for us. So I changed the name to the Medicine Cabinet. And yeah.
Okay.
So I owned the Medicine Cabinet up until my arrest. And it was such an awesome little place. I love that place, and built many relationships with customers that I still have to this day. And
as friends, not customers.
Right.
Right.
For the record.
So the Medicine Cabinet, that was in Hamilton.
Yeah.
Alleged.
Yeah. 1050 Barton Street East. It was a great little store. I, you know, wallpapered it with my own hands, and
Aw.
yeah, it was awesome. I love that place.
Is
And
this where the raid was?
one of many? Yes.
One of many.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that place operated amazingly. I was so proud of it. It was doing fantastic. I was working next door in the lounge. I had my managers running the Medicine Cabinet. I would, like, cover shifts if needed and stuff, only because the lounge isn't really profitable. It's like you're charging $5 for people to come in and smoke, and you're selling munchies, right?
Okay.
So for me to work there was financially the most responsible place for me. So then November 2016 comes along, and Mark Emery had opened Cannabis Culture in Toronto, and that store, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it or not, but the Church Street store was insane.
I had heard of it.
Yeah,
Never been.
there were like lineups down the street, around the corner, like down the other street. It was crazy. So then I was hanging out with one of my friends in the lounge, and he just had to evict a restaurant out of a Hamilton building that he owned. And he's like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, I can't open a business there. I'm going to have to sell the building because I don't want to hold a mortgage that I can't have nothing going on. And one thing about Hamilton is there's many, many commercial real estate properties available, right? So he would just be one in a million. It would be really hard to rent it out.
Right.
So I was talking with Cannabis Culture a little bit, contemplating opening in Hamilton. And then I got this opportunity for this building. And I was like, okay, let's go look at it. Let's go check it out. Because I hadn't been to the restaurant that was in there previously.
So you still got the lounge and
and
the med.
Yeah, the med cab and the lounge. So
and a record.
Yeah.
Go on.
Like 5 years before. So
she's gangster.
Yeah.
Let's walk down this road.
So I went to go look at this store, and as soon as I saw it, there was just vibes. I was like, 3-story building, stairs all the way up, just like Cannabis Culture. I'm like, yes, I'm going to get my ass back. I'm so excited, you know? So we jumped, and I was like, let's do it. And I decided late October, and we were open by November 15th.
Oh, wow.
We painted the whole building green from top to bottom. The most beautiful sign. It was actually, I think, like, don't quote me, but the most beautiful Cannabis Culture there was.
Aww.
And it was only because the building itself was already beautiful. So just add the touches, and it was paradise. So nobody knew what we were doing. As soon as the sign was up, it was covered because I didn't want to give Bylaw a heads up. Like, I'd already had some experiences with Bylaw at the Med Cab.
Right.
So where was the location of this?
275 King Street East, downtown Hamilton.
Is it Cops Coliseum?
No,
No. She's right just past Wellington.
Right across the street from Denninger's, basically.
Yeah. Just
okay.
past Wellington.
And let me tell you, Denninger's had record sales.
I'm sure.
of course.
The entire time we were open.
I went into labor in Denninger's, but anyhow, go on.
That's hilarious.
Getting myself a schnitzel and a baby.
Yeah, girl. I like schnitzel. So good.
I like everything.
That was my favorite part of one of my favorite parts of that store was having Denninger's across the street.
Yeah.
And just like good eats all day.
Mm.
So open Cannabis Culture. Didn't tell anybody. We announced it was opening at 10 p.m. the night before. It was opening at 9 a.m. We had our crazy first day. We served like 150 people on our first day with only 12 hours of notice.
Wow.
Didn't know this, but the cops were already outside taking pictures on our first day of me like pulling down the covering on the sign and stuff. So that was interesting.
So they had a heads up.
Yeah. So you guys heard of Project Claudia, obviously.
Have I?
So Project Claudia was the huge dispensary raid a few years back in
Okay,
Toronto
yes.
when they swooped everybody.
Yes.
So my good friend Jody Emery.
Now my good friend.
Yeah.
Hello, Jody.
Mine too. What's up, Jay?
Yeah. So Jody went
Keep
to the
microdosing.
Toronto Police Conference. And there was like yelling from both sides because, you know, I think it was Chief Sanders. He might still be the chief right now. But he was like, we've done well for the city of Toronto and gotten criminals off the streets and like just saying horrific things about all of us, basically, right? So there was like a slight confrontation and attention diverted from Chief Saunders onto Jody Emery that we believe was the start of the investigations.
Okay.
So they had already been investigating Church Street when I opened. So
Now
like
you're affiliated, so
Right.
it's just
right.
Franchise,
spreading.
right? Is it technically a franchise or no? Did it look like a franchise?
It was
to them.
Technically it was a franchise, but there was some ownership on their parts because we're all good friends.
Okay.
Right. So it was easy for Toronto cops because they're in Toronto. They're like, oh, perfect. We need another store to target. So they're like, we'll hit Hamilton. It's only an hour down the street.
Right.
So they let us operate for 8 months, which is
Problem free.
Not even, well, actually, like there were a few instances where the cops came in, just like there's beat cops in Hamilton, as you guys know.
Yeah.
And they would just like casually stroll in and be like, oh, what's going on here? And then they'd be all confused because there's like weed on the counter and people buying it, and like the people looking at the cops while buying it.
Yeah.
Take my shit and get out of here, you know. So it was crazy. Like we would, my one employee was so funny. He was a very electric person, and the cops came in. He got his camera out right away, and he's like, "Where's your warrant?"
Oh,
And
good
the
for
cop's
him.
like, "I don't have a warrant." And he's like, "No warrant, out, get out." Started screaming at the cop, and then took chairs and built a chair wall. And was like, "You can't cross this line." And
well, they can't really come in.
No,
Like,
and-
are they
Although-
purchasing?
Although it's a public place with an open sign, so that negates any right of them.
But can people
Being
just
able to
loiter?
come in.
No loitering.
Right, like maybe, I don't know.
I would have said no
It's-
loitering, sir. Buy some weed or get out.
Well, the chair wall worked, and like, you know, every day after
Really?
that, every day after that, I was like, "This is the last day." Like, just
you were
just enjoy it. This is the.
Could you
last
feel
day.
it? You could feel something coming, or you?
The story gets crazy.
Okay.
So those were Hamilton cops. Never had a problem with Hamilton cops at Cannabis Culture.
Me neither. When I was
So-
a stripper. Hamilton
Which
cops.
is- Go on. Get it.
They loved it.
Get it.
Fire.
Sorry, officer.
Exactly.
Bang,
Right.
bang, bang,
Let's
bang,
go to
bang,
Tim
bang.
Hortons and talk about it.
All right, let's go. Let's go.
Okay,
Let's go. Let's go.
on.
Let's go.
Over a donut.
Oh my god. I'm gonna have to settle both of you down. Let's go.
Let's go for a
All right.
donut.
So,
Mhm.
Cannabis Culture successfully operates from November 15th. February 7th comes along, and at that time, I was mainly at Cannabis Culture because it was so crazy and so overwhelming. At that
Busy?
time, at that time we were serving around 950 people a day.
Good for
Um,
you. I
hey.
hope it's buried under the mattress.
I was a customer. I was a customer.
You were a customer
Oh,
at
for
my
sure.
store. Thank
yeah.
you so much.
Yeah,
That's
for
so
sure.
amazing.
I wasn't. I had Chad on the corner. Oh, yeah. Our
Oh, yeah.
control room was also.
I love.
We were sketchy at first, right?
Actually, apparently the whole control room's family were customers as well.
Hey.
No, or we
well,
say
everybody
that?
everybody was sketchy at first. It was open, and we were like, okay, come on, man, this
It was.
can't be real.
There was a lot of buzz and a lot of talk.
It was
about
the
it, though.
first 19 plus store recreational sales, right? So everybody else was
Mhm.
hiding under the medicinal facade. And in my mind, everybody should have access to cannabis if they want it.
Right.
There shouldn't be somebody claiming an illness, falsifying medical documents if you're not ill and you don't need cannabis for medical purposes.
Right. You
Mhm.
just want it or need it.
I want to get high.
Yeah.
You know, that's it.
From a
Like,
plant, guys.
Right. So then Hamilton was the first recreational dispensary, Cannabis Culture Hamilton. So we made noise. Like when we opened, there were 10 dispensaries. Within 3 months, there were 80.
That's
Mhm.
see, it was the Wild West.
It was
yeah.
it was the wild Hamilton.
But that took a little bit first because Brantford opened up, correct?
Yeah. So Brantford was in February too.
Okay. And
So
that's where
the trouble happens.
right. This is where the big explosion
I
in
love guests that
dispensaries-
actually have something to say.
right.
With substance.
Yeah, run it.
No offense to all the dial tones.
Yeah.
Go on. Go
so
on.
Hamilton was bumping, like doing so well. I have so many photos that I can share one day. I'm actually in the process of writing a book
Oh, good for you.
of the history of cannabis in my life.
Wow.
And so we're like, yo, we should open Brantford because my brother-in-law lives in Brantford. We have tons of friends in Brantford. I'm like, let's do it. So scout out a place. Found a landlord on, I believe it was Colburn Street East.
Yep. Colburn Street
right?
West.
West. Okay. So found the building, painted it green, typical Cannabis Culture fashion.
Mhm.
And we opened. And it was awesome until the cops came in.
How
Like-
long was that?
Like
Day one.
day one.
Day one. Yeah.
Brantford.
Oh,
Yeah,
Brantford.
day
Yeah.
one. So unfortunately for everyone else, I was in Italy enjoying Carnival
Oh wow. Okay.
and had a great time.
Oh no.
Except for my data bill streaming the live videos of the cops coming to the store.
Right.
So they messaged me, Brittany, what do we do? What's the plan? And I'm like, reopen tomorrow. Let's go.
was that the plan?
that
We'll
was
just
the plan.
reopen.
So my husband got arrested the first day.
Oh my
And
god.
one of
That's
the
kind of hot though.
it is sexy.
Kinda, yeah.
Because I was the badass of the relationship.
And you guys get married and now he's arrested.
And then he took his badge.
Yeah, I kind of like
Oh,
that.
man.
That's hot. My
Oh,
eyes are.
man.
I'm getting all like, that's so good.
Like, yeah, big daddy. Like that.
You're not a little baby anymore. Come
Right.
Oh,
So,
shit.
So-
Can you believe what's going on here?
We got to get Lester arrested. It'd be
That's
much hotter.
hilarious.
Just kidding.
Everybody loves man in cuffs.
I'm good right now, you know what I mean? So all police force and agencies, I am good.
Seriously, right now I like anyone that has a nexus. So no, let's not get arrested.
I can't help you then. Sorry.
Okay.
So yeah, so the grenade goes off in Brantford.
It was crazy. Like, my husband got arrested the first day. Like 5 more people got arrested the second day. They took the door guys. They took the cashiers. They took the guy that was sweeping. They almost took my 76-year-old father-in-law.
Oh my god.
And he's like, I'm just leaving, and managed to sneak out the door, thankfully. Right. So then day 3 comes along and everybody's in jail. I'm like, oh gosh, like
she's in Italy drinking wine, eating her baguette.
Yeah.
What the hell you do in
pizza
Italy?
and Aperol spritz.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
So you got to be going crazy.
My data bill was outrageous because everything was live streamed. So they came to the store on the second day at 10 a.m. the moment we opened, and they didn't get a warrant until like 11 o'clock at night. So there were people outside, like the building was secured, and Mark Emery came down. So all he has to do is say, I'm at, Coburn Street West, Cannabis Culture. Come hang out with me and like let the cops know what's going on. So we had like people with their weed flags waving on the street and like tormenting the cops, and it was
oh god,
the data bill was huge. Like I was on the
it was
phone.
live. It was live in Brantford when that was going on.
And like the media was there, and then 2 of the staff tried to get back in the building, so they got arrested for like trying to access a crime scene or whatever. But for the most part, everybody's charges got dropped because my husband said, you know what, this was my operation. So everybody got dropped except for my husband, which only had to do a year of not diversion. Diversion is the kids' version. Discharge. So
what's that mean?
So he had to be of good behavior and keep the peace for 1 year.
What was his charges?
Oh, I would have
What
tormented
did they charge him
You got to be
for?
good behavior.
Like possession, trafficking.
Okay.
Yeah, because like it was in the jars. There was a till. There were sales made.
Oh, okay.
They actually arrested customers with the weed
shit.
in their pockets, and then afterwards released them, but seized the product as evidence to say that they were trafficking.
They force played what was going on.
Completely. And like I still talk to those customers to this day. Like they
Really?
they tweeted out after the cops like snapped the cuffs on their hands so bad that there were bruises and stuff.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but we keep in touch, and like interesting story in the war on prohibition. So then so Brantford lasted about a week and a half, and we were like, okay, we're just gonna let it go. They let us out of the lease, thankfully, and we went back to Hamilton. So
good old Hamilton.
right.
So
hammer.
so you thought
For a minute.
My love is in Hamilton. That city has done so much for me, and I'll do my best for the community and everybody in it for as long as I can.
Oh, I love the hammer.
But go back to Hamilton, and then we had to move the Vapor Lounge from Barton Street because of an infestation.
Oh,
so
God.
we moved it to the 2nd floor of Cannabis Culture, which was crazy because
Infestation of what?
cockroaches.
Barton Street.
I
Yeah.
love the hammer.
Yeah. I'll do whatever for the cockroaches.
Oh God. Okay, so infestation. We move upstairs.
Move upstairs, and I'm just unpacking. We hadn't even opened yet, and I get a call from my manager at the med cab, and he says, Brittany, the cops are here. They want you to come turn yourself in. And I'm like, my husband had just gotten arrested the week before, right? So I'm like,
God.
Oh, here we go. Excuse me.
Do you have a good lawyer?
Yeah, Jack Lloyd.
Oh, okay.
Best in
I
Canada.
just met him, but I was too shroomed out. I shook his hand and went, "Oh, you look cute in the head." Like we were just together at a dinner, and I actually didn't realize who he was until the day later.
That's so funny.
I was so messed
Jack
up.
appreciates people
Not
that
good.
are on mushrooms.
Okay.
So you like don't feel weird around
he
him at
seems
all.
giggly and smiley and sweaty as well.
Well, we may have to have Jack on the show one day.
Definitely,
I'd love to bring him on.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
consider him one of my good friends, not only my lawyer. So.
Jack, you're formally invited to the green room.
I'll bring the shrooms.
As a lawyer,
Oh yeah.
I don't think that
Allegedly.
right.
Okay.
So
All right, let's
I'm
get
like,
on.
okay.
This is juicy.
I'm like, let's go. Time to go. I hop in my Jeep.
Drink your tea.
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
All right.
She's got a little tickle.
Well, she hit that split.
Sometimes the tea helps.
Yeah, it does. So I hop in my Jeep. I'm like, cool. Here, my turn. You know, my husband already took it. Everybody took it. Let's go. So I go. And like I said, Hamilton cops have never had an issue with them. So when I showed up, I walked in and I was like, my name's Brittany. I'm here. What do you want from me? So they said, sit at this desk. So I like sat at my desk, and it was the weirdest experience because I was just sitting there with my hands crossed, watching the cops bag up all the weed and bag up all the evidence. And
Oh my God.
I'm just sitting there and I'm like, yeah, cool. Do what you wish.
Taking everything?
Yeah. Except for like, given the circumstances of the business, we were aware that there was a risk involved. So we may or may not have had trapdoors built.
Oh,
So
Like secret doors?
Yeah.
Shookin' now.
I like that. Do you have like a secret wall?
I
or
have
everything?
evidence of everything that I've
Real
ever done.
OG
so,
right here.
Yeah, I have evidence of everything I've ever done. So the book's going to be awesome.
Oh,
But
I'm excited.
I'm just sitting there, with my hands crossed, just
Gangsta.
watching the cop walk over the trapdoor, walk all around, and walk back, and like lift up the carpet to look at the trapdoor, and then put the carpet back down. And like it was February, so I had my winter coat on, and I'm sweating buckets.
Oh
Just
my
saying to myself,
God.
like, keep it cool, keep it cool. Keep it cool. Don't look at the trapdoor. Looking at the trapdoor. So that was interesting.
That's me in secondary. Okay, we're good.
Right?
Don't search me.
Crazy.
So then they didn't take me downtown. They just made me sign my court promise to appear papers on site. And they said, have a good day, Brittany. And I'm like, yeah, cool. Like they were really nice, really respectful, never touched me. Never
Take product.
they took
They took the product, but they didn't rough you up. Or they
I
didn't
was
trash.
never-
Did they trash anything?
not at all. Like they opened the jars nicely, dumped the weed out, like they left my
This
jars.
is a raid?
Yes. It was peaceful. Like it wasn't weird to say peaceful, but I never once felt like they were being aggressors.
Well, that's a cop's.
They probably
best
all
ar-
smoked
best
weed
arrest.
and they were doing it like because they had
And
to.
I'm also a girl, so maybe it's a little different
Right.
because I just walk in.
I don't think
like,
there's many stoners that have been roughed up,
yeah.
unless it's organized crime.
or like a person of color somewhere that's not Canada.
That's a totally different topic.
Right. It is a huge one that we
Yeah,
can
those
get
persons
into.
of color, man. You got to rough them up.
That's a totally different topic.
No, like it's definitely there have been
Kidding.
people that have been assaulted for weed, especially back in the day,
Oh, yeah.
down south specifically. There's people that are still in jail for life for marijuana,
Right,
which is
exactly.
crazy.
Yeah.
While suits are getting rich, so like that's a whole
Not anymore, they're not.
Right now they're crying, wiping their eyes with their silk ties.
They're in the unemployment
Um,
line right now.
Well, again, with people like Jody, who's actually putting these people right out on point about the amount of police officials and municipalities that are actually involved in the cannabis business now.
Nobody can call him out better than my girl, I tell you.
Right?
That girl,
Oh.
she has a list that is updated regularly just to call them out, because if anybody deserves to call them out, it's Jody Emery.
Yeah.
So
Real
and
talk.
like I'll take her list and act like I know these people. Like I'll be like, yeah, Julian Fantino, fuck that guy.
Oh,
Right,
didn't
right.
he's just opened the store in Kensington,
Right.
right?
So I do know of them, but Jody is incredible at pinpointing and showing the hypocrisy in the cannabis
Yeah,
industry.
well, I couldn't believe all the politicians.
I'm
I couldn't believe
disappointed
all
with
the
the raid
lawyers.
story.
What about it?
I don't know. I thought a raid would I remember.
But there's still more.
Oh, okay. Tell me
Yeah.
more.
So
Tell
that's
me more, Raid. I want shoot them up, and I
So-
want up
No,
against the wall.
no.
Let me check your ass. Like I don't know.
I'm like bending over.
Yeah. In my head, my raid story is I have leopards on leashes and they walk with me everywhere, and I have like a crown on.
I can
and-
visual, yeah, like just their big heels.
Queen of the South, man.
I
I
love
got
it, I
people in
love it.
cages. They're
All right, wild one. So go on with the raid.
So yeah,
Go
sat
on
there,
with your
signed the
raid.
paper. Cop walked out. I was like, all right, team, go to the trapdoor, get the shit out. We were open again within 4 minutes.
Oh, bang.
So I was the first person in Hamilton to get raided and then go bam,
Right
pop
back.
back,
Right back
open.
open.
So
I gotta ask a question. What does a raid cost? Like where are the expenses on a raid as far as a lawyer, or is there a fine that gets paid in order to unlock my doors, or what is the process of a raid?
So there's expenses all the way through. Unfortunately, if you're in this side of the industry, you have to prepare for that and know that you're going to take losses.
So you can't just get out insurance for raid insurance. Like there's no is there?
Like, there is a company in BC that insures dispensaries, but not physical product, because
Right.
some insurance companies will have issues with you having an illegal dispensary in the
Right.
building, saying you're smoking in here, we're not covering you, or blah blah blah. But product wise, everything is like a loss. So anything you have on the shelves
Is gone.
right? And for the most part, people pay, like they don't have debts in dispensaries.
Right.
They'll pay for the product
Everything
ahead
up front, yeah.
so that it's your loss.
Right.
And then like lawyer fees you can go from $1,700 a month, you know, to keep on retainer if you're staying open. But like the way that I ran my dispensary, from the moment the doors opened, I had a like Jack Lloyd Law on retainer that I paid him X amount of dollars per month every month. So that not if something happened, when something happens.
Okay, that's, I didn't understand, like, where I get the raid comes in. In my mind, they break your door, they break a window, they punch you in the lip. I think
you've been watching Cops too much. It's like meth raids.
Everyone wears wife beater. So we're all, I don't know. And then there's like I don't know. I was just wondering what the expense is. Like, what is it? You get a lawyer and they get you out of jail, and I don't know. Like,
so in Canada, there isn't really bail. It's more of a, if you reoffend, somebody has to sign a paper that they will pay. So you don't have to commit any money to get out of bail. But then, like, after sentencing, there's fines that they can impose and stuff like that. So
I have another question, and you can go ballpark. To open up a dispensary, what is the ballpark? Like, just these dispensaries popping up. Hamilton had 80 of them at one time.
Like 94 was the top number.
94.
Yeah.
So what is it an average cost to open one of these?
Like, honestly, it depends on the building.
Okay.
Like, because
so is that the big expense, or is the
and
weed expense? What's the expense? The
like,
building.
If, you know, it's a shithole, it's going to need work, because I opened on Barton Street, but you walked in my store and it was beautiful. Like, and I didn't do much. Like, you know, I wallpapered, painted, put up some shelves. My in-laws are antiquers, so I got like all vintage medicine bottles and stuff like that.
How was
How do
your
you say that word?
security then?
Apothecary? How do
I
you say
had
that
no
word?
security.
How do you
for
say
a
the
long
word?
time.
Apothecary?
Apothecary. It was
Yeah.
very apothecary
I like
style,
that.
completely. So
I
I'm
love
like,
that. That's you. God.
sorry, guys.
It's all right.
Yeah, it was very
We'll forgive you.
apothecary style, and like with old vintage antiques, which was awesome. It was the coolest vibe.
So does the store cost 20,000, 50,000, 90,000?
It depends on inventory, right? So if you're like say when we opened the medicine cabinet, it wasn't crazy, right? It was a gradual build of customers.
Mhm.
Like our inventory probably started at 15 grand.
Okay.
And that's only because there's such a large variable of products.
And how
right?
does the dispensary advertise? Word of mouth?
It was Weed Maps until they
Okay.
banned like the illegal shops. So it was Weed Maps.
That helped huge.
Yeah, and also word of mouth, you know, it did help me to partner with Weeds because there were stores in Toronto. So
Right.
anybody who was driving to Toronto stopped in Hamilton instead of going to the city. So I definitely had like an advantage partnering with them.
Okay, so let's go back to the rating situation.
Yeah, so got rated, signed my paper, said I don't remember the officer's name, but like they
Shout out to the officer
Yeah.
that was nice to her.
Yeah, they were all nice, but they honestly looked like people that I could have went to school with. Like they
Okay.
looked like my husband and myself's friends.
And it's their job.
yeah,
Right?
An easy job.
like yeah.
Or they could look the other way,
It's
ride
too
their little
easy.
bikes over to Tim Hortons.
There wasn't mass resistance. You're trying to do something straight out front for the good of everybody.
Yeah.
And
Hamilton,
you-
oh my God, opioid crisis. They needed this.
Right.
Oh,
well, they're
goodness.
not trying to do no gangster thing. Like they're not hustling on the corner. They're
Not
saying,
like-
"Hey, listen, we have a
Not like what
product that's
I
good
envisioned.
for you." Yes, exactly.
I'm
Exactly.
actually I'm really surprised that I never heard from like the Hells Angels or anything like that. I'm really
Ugh.
like
They're
I'm,
too busy with the strippers.
I'm surprised. So like to open up pop-up shop.
They didn't
and-
knock on your door. Nobody just
Nothing.
came in for a visit.
Nope. Like
That is a good surprise.
yeah, like it was a good surprise, and like I was prepared for the worst from the start, right?
Even in Brantford, you had no biker
no
visits?
issues, no.
Well, you
So-
didn't last long enough in Brantford to have.
They
We
were
did
just
have
getting
one
the gear
guy-
on.
We did
They
have
were
one
just
guy
sitting up.
who sent me a message with a gun barrel saying like, have the police left yet? Are you going to reopen? And I said, yeah, when they leave. And he's like, don't bother. And he sent me a picture of a gun.
Oh.
And then it turned out that was the guy who was like shooting out of his car on the 403 last year.
Oh, no way.
Same guy.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh, maybe I should have taken that seriously.
Oh.
Right.
You know, like, because to me,
You
I'm like,
never know.
buddy just Googled a gun barrel and thinks he's tough.
Right.
No, actually, turns out he's shooting out of his car on the 403. So that was
Mhm.
interesting. When I read that, I was like, wow. But yeah, so then MedCab raid, reopen, go back to Cannabis Culture, unpack Cloud9, that's the vapor lounge, get it all good to go, and Spannabis was coming up. So Spannabis 2017,
Mhm.
it was the first year that all of our team was going together And so the day of Spannabis comes, and I'm at CC, and I'm just like,
CC.
Cannabis
Cool.
Culture,
Okay.
Cannabis Culture. I'm there, and I'm chilling in the upstairs in Cloud 9. And I had no conditions when I was arrested by Hamilton cops. It didn't say you're not allowed to go to illegal business. Like, there were no conditions at all other than to keep the peace. So
Right.
I could continue on as I was, which I thought was so dumb on their part.
Right.
Like, why do you give me an advantage knowing what's going on? Right. So
Room to play.
right. So then I'm like, okay, we're going to go to Spain. And my best friend Dave, who's been my friend since high school, was always at the store helping me out.
Did you ever have sex with Dave?
No, never.
Okay, go on.
No, that's funny.
My control room's going, oh my God.
Yeah, no, he was, I worked at McDonald's. And
Oh,
yeah.
shots fired.
I was like 14.
Okay.
No, yeah, I worked at McDonald's. We went to separate schools, and like all the McDonald's crew and all of their crew just became friends from working together. So it was pretty cool. And he was there, and I just looked at him, I'm like, Dave, like, I don't want to go to Spain. And he's like, why don't you want to go to Spain? He's like, Brittany, stop being such a spoiled bitch, okay?
Oh, damn.
Like, you're doing so well. You're going to Spain with some of the biggest people in cannabis to the biggest cannabis festival ever. Like, fuck you for being a baby and not wanting to go. And I'm like, honestly, like,
Something was off?
Something doesn't feel right. And so I don't know if you guys know what Fukushima moon rockets are.
Of course.
Right.
We do.
So I carried them in my store, and
Love
I had
them.
smoked like 15 moon rockets that day, just dreading going to Spain. I'm a like your girl can back it up.
Yeah. Okay.
So I was dreading going to Spain, just the weirdest gut feeling. And it was the day that the transport truck tipped over on the Burlington Skyway from the wind.
Oh, okay.
So I've flown a lot in
So
my
you
time.
were having all bad feelings,
like there,
bad
I
vibes.
flew a lot in my time, and I've never had this feeling before. And I'm like, okay, like something's up, because you don't get this weird ass feeling for nothing.
Getting some bad juju.
Getting some bad vibes. And I was like, maybe it's because it's so windy. Like a transport truck tipped over. How is an airplane going to take off? Like, I don't know.
Just didn't want to do it.
I don't know what it was. So my husband was working at the Ford plant at the time. Such a good boy.
Oh, my ex-fiance worked there
Yeah,
too.
he was working at the Ford plant.
You get 26ers of
like-
booze for like $20.
Yeah, now
or-
a criminal with his Cannabis Culture Brantford stuff. You know, just going to punch in on the old clock. So he wasn't home. So my best friend Dave was driving me to the airport. And he's like, okay, friend, it's time to go. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Okay, here we go. And like, I just kept putting the feeling off, and I don't know why. So then I'm like, Dave, can we stop at like, I think it was Milestones or something by the airport, so that I can have a Summersby to like take the edge off of myself, because I'm just like, I need to relax. So we go to Milestones, we have a drink. He's like, friend, you gotta go. Like,
I would have needed some chips and dip. But anyhow, one of their Asiago cheese.
I
and
love it all. Like, give me all the
God.
good stuff.
Okay, go on.
So yeah,
Keep telling. Will I like pretend I'm eating snacks?
I would love snacks, but it would interfere with the podcast, I feel like.
Right? We should have some snacks. I'm feeling
Yeah,
it.
but
Now
then
you
all
both,
you hear is
you
like
both
crunch,
got me
crunch,
hungry.
crunch, crunch.
It's okay.
I know,
People
but
want to
we're
hang
enjoying
out with me.
ourselves anyways.
I can't
We'll
even
see what
hear
happens.
movies over snacks, let alone do a podcast. Like, I'm like, can you stop chewing so loud? So leave Milestones.
Mhm.
Get to the airport. Dave drops me off.
1 or 2 drinks in.
2
Okay.
fast ones.
Okay.
Get to the airport. Dave drops me off at departures, and I'm like, I feel sick. Like, I've never felt like this before. And it wasn't an actual illness. It was something was fucked up. So the problem with the issue I had was that my friends from Vancouver were already on a flight. And how am I going to message him? Like, Wi-Fi wasn't the greatest on planes back then.
Okay.
How am I going to message him to say, hey, I'm quitting you and going home. Have fun in Spain without me.
Mhm.
And so I'm sitting there, and I'm sitting like right beside the door, right across from the Peel police station. You know,
Oh,
like the
shit.
little police booth in the
Yep,
airport.
yep.
So I'm sitting there, and I'm just looking at the police
Know it
booth.
well.
And then I'm looking at my lap on my phone, and I'm like, what are you going to say? What are you going to say? Looking at the police booth, looking at my phone, and I'm like, by golly, the transport truck tipped over on the Burlington Skyway, and there's a news article about it. So I'm like, sick. Hi, Jer. Stuck in traffic. Transport truck tipped over. Can't get there. Like, I'll try and get a flight tomorrow. Good luck.
Man.
Oh.
So you bought yourself some time.
Right. Bought myself some time. I went to, you know how like you go to the Air Canada line and there's the line that you get in and then they have like the little desk on the side for the lady that's just chilling. So the line's huge. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go talk to the lady over here that's chilling. So I go over and I'm like, I was such a liar. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I think I'm pregnant and I just can't stop vomiting. I don't think I can go. Like I feel
snacks.
Oh,
Keep going.
I'm like, I don't think I can go. I feel so sick. So she's like, okay, let me see what I can do. Cause it was still like 4 hours before the flight. So she checks the manifest. She's like, I can give you a refund. But for some reason, you're already unloaded off of this plane.
Oh.
Nothing hit me. I was like, oh, that's weird. Like maybe, who knows? I didn't even think about it. And as a frequent traveler, I should have thought about it. So unloaded off the plane. Cool. Call Air Canada, get your reservation. Refunded. So I walked downstairs to arrival.
So you didn't do this?
No.
Okay.
Walked downstairs, got in the car, and I went home. And because I had smoked 15 moon rockets that day, I literally fell asleep.
Passed out.
Literally fell asleep at like 7 o'clock. My husband was on nights, so he wasn't home until midnight. So like I barely even remember him coming home. Wake up the next morning, Mark and Jody Emery arrested at the airport. And I'm like,
that's what was going on.
Still didn't get it. I still didn't get it. So I look at my watch. It's 9 o'clock, and I'm like, their bail court's at 10. I'm like, there's no way I'm making it to the bail court by 10. Like Toronto traffic from Hamilton.
I don't do anything before 10, but anyhow.
Right. Not going to happen. So I was like, okay, I'm going to start my day. So my girlfriend Amber came over and we were just like cleaning up my house a little bit. And all of a sudden my phone rings. And I look at the phone and it's the construction worker that's like putting drywall up in Cannabis Culture Hamilton, like finishing the old kitchen. And I'm like, that's weird. Like, did he run out of drywall tape or something?
What does he want?
Answers the phone. He's like, the cops are here. It's a raid. And that second, I was like,
oh, no.
Something's going down. So then I'm holding my phone in my hand. All of a sudden, I get a text message. Cannabis Culture Vancouver being raided. Cannabis Culture Toronto being raided. And I'm like,
oh, no.
All
like,
22 stores.
Yeah, I'm like, it's going down. It wasn't the Quebec stores, so it wasn't 22. I don't know the exact number. But so then I look at my girlfriend Amber and I'm like, they're coming.
I'm picturing your girlfriend's Amber Rose, but continue.
No, she's a beautiful blonde girl. Like, she's still very pretty.
In my story, she's Amber Rose. Go
That's
on.
Cool. So me and Amber Rose are like, all of a sudden I'm running around my house like mad, trying to get rid of as much shit as I can, knowing that they're coming. And Brandon was at Starbucks, okay? And like, I'm telling you, I've never wanted to like kick him more than when I'm running around the house trying to get all this shit together and he's like strolling out of
having
Starbucks
a frappuccino
with a fucking coffee, okay?
Oh my God.
So then he comes home and he's like, what's going on? What's wrong? And I had a box and I just threw the box at him and I was like, they're going, they're coming, get the fuck out of here. And he got so mad at me. He, like, his face was like, I can't believe you're screaming at me like this. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here right now. And he drives, like pulls out of the driveway, turns around the corner and passes the cops as they're coming in.
As they're coming to the house.
As they're coming in. Because like in all the raid history in Hamilton, they had never come to somebody's home.
Right.
Ever. So I was like, as soon as I saw the text messages coming through, I'm like, we're fucked. It's
they're coming to round up everybody.
Yeah, it's going down. So, and then he passed the cops. So when the cop came, my girlfriend Amber was outside smoking a dirty cigarette.
Oh, yeah, I don't like cigarettes. I like weed, but
yeah, that's for you, Amber.
Amber Rose.
Yeah. So then Amber Rose is out smoking a cigarette, and I open my garage door to yell at her, and she's surrounded in cops, and I'm like, oh my God. She's not who you want. I'm right here. Leave her alone.
Oh.
Right.
So then they like searched her car to make sure that she didn't have anything that she was leaving with, and they let her go. So they come in my house. I was in the process of heating up some Concetta pizza, which Concetta is this Italian lady that I know, and she makes the bombest pizza.
Is she still? Is she around?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
she's an older lady, but like that's her job is she cooks pizzas and makes minestrone soup and stuff for people. Like
that
she's
that
Yeah,
Italian wedding soup.
stracciatella.
Ah,
Yeah.
We
stracciatella.
do have a kitchen here.
I would like some
What's a
stracciatella
kitchen?
and some
We have a kitchen
Yeah.
No, we have a kitchen here.
No, you need a conchetta here.
Okay. Yeah, well,
Actually, Lester makes nice. When we were in Vancouver, he made me
man.
a little grilled
Oh.
pineapple and chicken sandwich. It was so cute.
Yeah,
It
so
was really cute.
shout out to all the cooks. So there I am heating up conchetta pizza. The cops come in, and turns out they're from what's Gangs, Guns, and Violence, or they were from a big task force.
Okay, I was gonna go a reality show.
No.
Like,
I've
They're-
never even heard of that.
They're from a big task force because there were so many raids consecutively. They had to pull from like the child molestation department
Okay.
and Gangs, Guns, and Violence, and
right.
pulled all of these people for all of these stores because it was such a huge project. So I lived Stony Creek Mountain, and I guess the cops, when they went to leave, they didn't realize that my house was like 15 minutes further than Cannabis Culture Hamilton.
Mm.
So fortunately, like the raids were consecutively 8 a.m. and 11 a.m. Vancouver and Toronto time. So at the exact same time, and they were supposed to hit my house raid at 11 too, but they were late because they thought that I would be close to the store.
Right.
So I had like that 14-minute window of getting my shit together before they got there.
I've had to flee in the night. 14 minutes is actually a lot of time.
It is actually a lot of time.
Wow.
And I wish there was a camera. And like if there could have been a fly on the wall in that house following me around, screaming and sweating, like, what the hell do I do? It's happening. What's going on? Like,
So you got the hubby out.
hubby's
The
gone.
best friend got
Bestie,
away.
bestie deked off. So everybody's good. It's just me sitting in there, like in a chair.
You're an OG.
Did you have time to like
Thank you.
do your hair and put makeup on?
Damn.
I don't like. I'm not a huge makeup girl. I did today because I knew there would be cameras. But like, I'm literally the laziest person on the planet.
Okay, so you
I'm
looked
cool with
homeless.
I always look homeless. Like the only reason it looks like this is because I went to Amber's house and got her to do it.
Oh, that good old Amber Rose.
Lady, you're cool in the pocket, but keep
Okay,
going. Keep
yeah.
going.
on.
Keep going.
So sitting in a chair again in my
Yeah.
living room,
Mhm.
and the other cops sitting beside me, like the leader of the squad, and the other cops are tearing my house apart.
Squad leaders.
They're like ripping all the clothes out of my closet. And,
Hoping.
like they busted it wide open. Like
Mhm.
they never broke anything because I was home. They would say, "Okay, can you open this? Can you do this? Can you do that?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, cool, no problem." So
This is more the raid I'm thinking of.
right. So
Mhm.
Go through your shit.
nothing was ever broken, but the cop, I imagine having
Jackie's chewing just shut everything down there for 2 seconds.
chips.
She couldn't help herself. I don't know if you guys know, but
This is
one
like
thing.
the best story.
It's gonna be a great book. I'm really excited.
It is, and I'm so glad we're getting it right
This
here.
is a great
Right.
podcast,
Guys,
man. Grab your
yo,
snacks and
trust
come
me,
on back.
trust me,
Isn't that
trust
what
me.
Wendy says?
Once I knew we were getting into this, and you gave us free reign to go where we're going.
Yeah, because
here.
you had no idea who I was, right? You just
No.
thought I was a chillum joint girl.
He
Yeah.
lurked
That was my
ya.
biggest talent.
Yeah, no, straight goods because I'm so related to what's been going on.
Okay, keep going
Yeah.
with the story.
A
I'll try and chew
customer in
that.
my store. Did you have
Customer
a
in your
points
store.
card?
No.
Oh,
I was too
that's-
scared for that.
That's unfortunate. I only needed. You had a
Ah!
points card.
Uh,
That'd-
see,
that'd-
CEO
The
had
draw
points
room
card.
did.
Yeah.
I was too scared. I would just go in, get my thing, and just like left, right. And
Yeah,
dip.
but like, didn't you feel comfortable in that store?
I had no problem with the store. It was the police who were sometimes watching on the outside, or
Oh,
you were
the
just
beat cops.
waiting. Yeah,
Yeah, they do that stuff.
yeah.
They put a camera out front?
Yeah.
yeah,
like-
they try to make you feel as uncomfortable.
No,
as
that was
possible.
bylaw. That was Hamilton bylaw because I didn't have a fucking sign permit.
Oh, man.
Oh.
Is that a joke?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, no, Hamilton bylaw with her camera. Her name was Cindy. And Cindy.
Cindy Lou
I think
Who.
that's what I used to call her.
Oh, really?
So one time we got a bylaw ticket and my best friend Dave like walked in. He's
The one
like,
that you didn't have sex with.
I didn't have sex with him. No.
Okay, go on.
So my best friend Dave walks in and the bylaw ticket's going in his name and he's just like Cindy Lou, Cindy Lou, Cindy Lou, Cindy Lou.
That's how I remember
He's
names.
like,
I turn into songs.
He's like, sorry, Cindy Lou. I was getting Starbucks. I didn't mean to make you wait half an hour. Like,
Oh,
no
God.
word of a lie. Poor Cindy. I think the dispensary craze like forced her into retirement. Like, I'm not joking because everybody fucking tormented her.
Half she's on the corner selling weed.
Oh, poor girl. So, anyways,
Oh, man.
in my house, conchetta pizza in the oven, sitting with the cop while the other ones tear all my shit apart. And I remember him. He's like, I have a daughter like around your age.
Oh, God.
And he's like, let me tell you something. if I saw a transport truck rolling down the street with its doors wide open, full of weed, I wouldn't care. He's like, I would let it go because I know that you guys aren't the real criminals. But here's my issue is you were a file that landed on my desk today. He's like, I have a daughter your age, and I don't think there's anything wrong with what you're doing at all. So at that point, I was like, okay.
The fuck is going on?
Fucking got me again. Like, because I will be a bitch for the longest time. If you are mean to me, I will destroy your life. But when you come in,
are you a Leo?
No, I'm a Scorpio.
Oh,
Ooh,
yeah.
tail swinger.
Bang!
Yeah.
So, I'm a Leo, man. I'll eat your head off.
Right. Yeah, but I'll bite you as you're eating me.
Right.
You'll kill me as I'm going down.
Yeah, one bite. So yeah, he was just so nice to me that I'm like, okay, fine, I'll be nice to you. Like, I don't want to be snarky. I don't want to be rude because I have so many one-liners for cops too. It's great.
Right.
So I let it happen. He's like, do you want to eat your pizza before you go because you'll be staying overnight?
Sorry, continue.
She's killing me.
I want to hear her
like,
amazing story. Like I'm watching a movie.
Do you want to eat your pizza before you go because you're staying overnight? And I'm like, I'm staying overnight? And he's like,
Really?
He's like, yeah, you're coming to Toronto. And I'm like, Toronto? Like, he's like, yeah, we're the Toronto Police Services. He's like, yeah, you're coming with us overnight. So if you could let your husband know. And I have twin stepdaughters, so they have bedrooms at my house. And they're like, are there any kids that you need to arrange to be picked up from school? Like, is it? Yeah. So at that time, I was wearing really holy jeans because that was like my thing at the time. He's like, go put some track pants on because you're going to be cold. So he let me go upstairs.
Do you remember who this cop was?
Yeah.
Can you say his name or no?
I'm like,
first name?
Last name Zioli. I've always said to this day that I would literally write him a thank you letter for treating me with such respect and so much kindness.
Yeah.
So was he Toronto Police? RCMP?
Toronto Police, yeah.
Toronto Police?
Like gangs, guns, and violence or something like that. So this guy's dealing with major criminals, like people that are killing people and dealing cocaine and crack and like stuff like that,
causing harm and havoc in the world.
Right. So then there's like, not saying I'm cute or anything, but like
Yes,
little
you're
Brittany in my little modest Stony Creek townhouse. He's like, this is a joke to me.
This is not.
So let me have my pizza. Let me change into my track pants. Like I told me.
Did you give him a piece?
Yeah. and I did a couple dabs too before I left, which he was cool with too, because he's like
some dabs,
because he's like, girl's going in anyways. Might as well let
he was
her.
Humanized.
Yeah, he's like, might as well let her.
I have to tell you, you're kind of wrecking my whole imagery of all of this. I might be a little more gangster from now on.
It's like, who knew you could get away with it, right?
You get pizza and a dab,
right? So
and a chip in the green room.
So yeah, so then he says, okay, like 2 hours later, they're done searching my house. Started at 11:15. It was almost 2, so maybe a little bit longer than that. He's like, all right, Brett, like it's time to pack up and go downtown. So get the shoes that you want. And they were hauling all the stuff into their car, just like papers and documents. And I had missed a little bit of cash that was hidden that I didn't know about. So they found that too. Oh. And they didn't cuff me the whole time until I got into the Toronto police parking lot. And then he said, legally, I have to do this, bringing you into the
you're a prisoner.
station.
They have to bring you in as a prisoner, right?
He says, I'm sorry, but legally I have to do this. So like he was really nice and cuffed me. I think it was in the front and like left them super loose and all the media was there. So like I didn't know.
Yeah, because it was a big thing, man.
Yeah, here's the thing is I didn't realize how big it was. And like all I remember driving to Toronto was just like driving into uncertainty, and like the sun was reflecting off of all the condo buildings going downtown and off the lake, and I'm like, it was a beautiful day, and I'm like, this is the weirdest thing I've ever felt. Like I'm driving towards being an animal in a cage, you know?
Yeah, I'm about to be a prisoner.
Didn't know what to expect, but like all of these feelings came flooding into me, realizing that I could have been taken from the airport the night before.
Right.
Like
did the other people go to Spain?
So Jeremiah wasn't a part of Project Gator.
Okay.
He's an employee of Cannabis Culture, but he wasn't a target. So they
were off to Spain.
So they were off to Spain.
Okay.
And in Spain when all this is going on. So that was quite stressful for them. Like
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure they like went to a strip club and had some drinks and got drunk and then got on the next flight out the next day.
You know, when you're stressed.
Like, I love relieving stress with titties. So whatever, right?
Here
I have
on
no
the Green
problem
Room.
with that.
I have no problem with that.
So, driving in, and then I get into the station, and it's protocol normally for them to frisk you and make you bend over. And he said, I already searched her, which,
wow.
yeah, which are like, you know, what
This guy's gone far.
yeah,
far.
he
and
was an
above.
incredible man. So like basically, hi baby.
He's just a pain
So
in
basically
everyone's ass.
taken really well care of. And then my co-accused Aaron and Chris Goodwin got
Co-accused.
yeah, they got arrested at Jody and Mark's bail hearing. So
Oh wow.
it was like that was the way
Who were they?
That's
Who was
how
that?
they
What were their
trapped him.
names?
Chris and Aaron Goodwin.
Oh, I'm hearing a lot of it.
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
So like they were with Cannabis Culture for a very long time, and they ran the Church Street store with Mark.
Okay.
Right.
So it was me, Mark, Jody, Aaron, and Chris.
Okay.
Were the targets. And I get into the holding cells and I'm like upset. And Aaron hears me talking and she's like, Brittany, is that you? And I'm like, Aaron. And then I realized I wasn't
Grab
alone.
a cup through the wall.
No, we were in there from 2, like almost 3 o'clock until 8 a.m. the next day.
Oh my God. I thought you were going to say we were in there since November. And
No.
we got out and whatever.
So
okay.
We were, it was
Still scary
a
as hell.
holding cell at a police station though,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
we're not going to Milton or anything.
Okay.
So we were just playing like word games where you pick a word and then I have to say a word that begins with the last
Oh my
letter.
God.
of the
I'm in
first
love
word.
with you right now.
Yeah, we were
We are so good at Thelma and Louise
Yeah,
this place
like-
when you're done here.
We were just playing word games because like what else do you do, right?
Right. A lot of time.
And like there were some characters in there as well, like
Ugh.
people that were overly intoxicated and you know coming down off of stuff. So it was an emotional time. Like it was kind of upsetting, you know,
Mhm.
because like once it's all fun and games when you're in the outside world, but then once you get into this little 6x2 cell or 6x3 cell, it really starts to like come down on you and you realize
And you
like,
don't know when it's ending or how it's ending or when this is over.
you don't know anything. You don't know what you're being charged with. Like they don't read you your charges before, so you don't know what's going on, right?
Mhm.
And then so me and Aaron kind of found solace in knowing that each other was there. And then we were talking through the walls about how Mark and Jody were taken as well, and Chris, and like what's going
Oh my
on and
God.
how serious it is and how big it is. And then it came to lunchtime, and those motherfuckers, they tried to feed us grilled cheese with Cheese Whiz, saran wrapped, and then microwaved, not toasted.
Ew.
Wait a minute.
Ew, what? That's your
That's
jail.
your jailhouse lunch is a disgusting cheese sandwich that's been microwaved.
My husband got one piece of bologna in a juice box.
Yeah.
That's in Brantford they got Fast Eddie's.
What?
I'm like, that's a score.
Yeah,
Like,
it is.
Milkshakes
Yeah.
or just burgers?
burgers,
Oh,
but
I love
and
even so.
I like a
and-
fast Eddie.
Damn.
even the one vegan girl, she got taken care of like to her needs and everything. So Brantford, they were cool. So then this fucking prick jail guard, okay, I don't know who he is or who he thinks he is like lunchtime and he just takes my sandwich and he throws it through the hole onto the floor. And like it's saran wrapped, yes, but like I'm sitting in this cage for however many hours. They don't turn the lights off, so all night like they have these bright like 200-watt fluorescent
Oh my
bulbs
God.
blaring down on you.
Yep.
And you can see all the dirt and like specks
Oh.
of blood, and it is just gross. So then when my sandwich hit the ground, I just burst out crying and I started screaming at the
Oh.
guy, and I'm like,
Shit getting real.
you're such a piece of shit. Like, fuck you. And like, you know, I kind of get it, because we were making their salary for a year and 1 day.
Right.
Like, I kind of get it. It's for them, it sucks because they have a shitty job. They're taking care of assholes who don't care about them.
Mm.
Like,
Mhm, it's a terrible job.
I can be real and come down to his level and realize that it must suck, right? But that doesn't mean that you have to treat everyone like a criminal.
right.
And that was, although, yeah, we are criminals, I guess.
But you don't have to. Well, you don't have to treat people unfairly or indecent.
And
I mean,
again,
you're still
like-
humans. You're
right?
still
And
human
if I
beings.
treat you with
Yeah,
respect,
but
I
how
would
the
hope.
hell are you a criminal when now we have what they call the OCS doing exactly what you
Middleman
guys?
gangsters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so,
it's the same thing, right?
oh, I know. Yeah, they're brokers of cannabis. They're
So in jail,
yeah,
Aaron's in the cell next to you.
yeah.
God.
So the sandwich was my breakdown, And that was when I finally was just so upset and just so hurt and like treated like worse than a dog, you know?
Oh, God.
So then bang on the door at 4 a.m. Bang, 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 bang. Fingerprints. And I'm like, you couldn't have done this at 6 o'clock at night? Like, why are you coming in here and checking out my fingerprints at 4 a.m.? Like,
Oh my
just when
God.
my eyes closed. It was almost like they had cameras on to see when I was sleeping so that they could bang on my door. So the
Do
guy,
you still not know when you're getting out at this time? You don't know what's happening with your life?
I knew I'd be going to court
Okay.
at some point. So
Okay.
like thankfully, like when cops really want to be assholes, they'll arrest you on a Friday. If they really
So you
want
sit
to,
till
stay
Monday.
in.
if they really want to be jerks and they really don't like you,
Is the toilet in the cell like right there next to the bed?
yeah,
Is there a seat on it?
no, it's just a stainless steel because you can like technically pull the seat off and beat yourself with it. Is their
Oh.
theories, right?
Mhm.
So 4
sorry.
a.m, door opens, and the guy's like, "Come with me, Brittany." And then he sits me in a stool, and there's a TV on the wall, and I see myself literally walking across the TV screen, and I look at him, and I'm like, "How big is this?" And
Oh my
he's
God.
like, "This is really big." And he's like, "And I just want to let you know that I feel like a horrific person locking you guys up for this." He's like,
Oh, wow.
I was here with Mark and Jody last night, and he said I did not sleep a wink all night when I got home. He works nights and sleeps during the day. He said he could not sleep the whole time because he was so sickened with himself that he was locking us in cages. So I told him, like, I got really upset, like emotionally, not angrily at that point. And I started crying about the sandwich, and he's like, "Here, take my lunch." And he gave me
Oh,
his
wow.
lunch. He let me sit there and eat almonds and drink his juice box, and like I left some of it for him because I didn't want to be a hog.
Before the coronavirus.
Yeah.
Go on.
But he was so sweet, and he was so kind, and he took my fingerprints, and he said again, like, "I just want to apologize, and like if I could open that door and set you free right now, I would." And I was like,
It's crazy how so many people are torn between
I
the
have
good
evil.
of cannabis and
Yeah.
The law and what's actually should
Like
be.
I have
Mhm.
evil sandwich man, and then
Yeah.
the nicest guy ever on the other end, you know? So
Mhm.
that kind of like I went back into the cell with a little bit of a smile on my face at that point in time.
rejuvenated.
Yeah, you know, like I feel like not the scum of the earth.
So now this is 2017.
Yeah.
All right. Everything's blown up. Cannabis culture is on fire.
And Jackie's doing hashtag cannabis influencer. Woot woot. Well, she's. I get the hypocrisy.
The place
and
is
nonsense
on
of it all.
So now what ends up happening in Hamilton is after you guys are gone is
Still open dispo.
yeah.
Oh my
They took
God.
like cardboard and covered up the cannabis culture sign, and with like
Mhm.
black Sharpie marker wrote "Still Open Dispo" on
Yep.
it, and like duct taped the shit to the sign. So it was like the most ghetto thing you've ever seen in your life. But those kids, like those people, I can't even say they were kids. Those people were incredible.
Because after they laid the charges and everything was known, the actual store location stayed open without the name on it.
Allegedly, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Yeah, that was the weird thing about it.
Next time you gotta come with your lawyer.
Right. No, there
No.
was a transition.
Oh, our
So-
fly said medical only. So,
so-
you tell us it's not? What?
Okay, so let's get to court first because
Our
we're kind of
fly.
skipping.
All right,
ahead
sorry,
here,
yeah.
right?
Okay, sorry.
So go get in the paddy wagon with Erin, which is like the first time I could see her and give her a big hug with our like cuffs or whatever. And we're being brought down to City Hall. And they bring us in with all the other girls that were in the cells, which were some characters.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
they handcuff us all together, right?
Nice.
So, yeah, no-
Nice.
It's a
No-
girl party.
yeah, nice.
Chain gang.
Not the kind of party you want to be a part
God.
of. Friend, trust me. Like you got the 24-hour jail stank plus whatever else is on you. Like needless to say, there were a few girls,
Real
that-
criminals.
yeah, but they weren't in good condition. Like they should have been in a hospital, like coming down off of whatever they were coming down off of,
Right.
instead of being chained to Erin and myself, and us basically having to hold her up while
Oh,
walking.
God.
So it was
Hard conditions they put you under.
it was fucked. So then get to City Hall, and they put us in this common cell with so many other girls. I couldn't believe it. Like girls covering up for gun charges for their man. And I'm like, are you crazy? Like, I'm talking to these girls like
I can't wait for the book. Go on.
Right.
These are good stories.
I'm talking to the girls like, you know, I'm not a criminal. Meanwhile, I'm in there with them. And then Jody was in the cell. So
wow.
I was so happy to see Jody. I ran up to her and she's like, they said that somebody was excited to see me and I didn't know who it was because I kept asking, where's Jody? Where's Jody? Where's Jody? And unfortunately, because Jody was at the airport, she got taken to Milton. Like the actual jail,
real
and
jail.
yeah, had to be stripped down and searched, and which was like not fun for her in any way because she was there by herself as well. Like I'm often comedic relief, so if I had have been there, I feel like it would have been easier. So in a way, I feel guilty by going home from the airport and not getting arrested with her because we would have had each other,
right?
You know, instead of Jody being off by herself. But
that's huge.
It was hard for her. She had it rough. Like,
well, I can only imagine they're trying to make an example out of her, right?
Right.
With what they were doing.
And she had to go from a paddy wagon from Milton to Toronto and back, like when they took her there and brought her back.
Right.
So that's like, you know, a good 45-minute drive. And she had it really rough. And as we were walking down the hallway, I saw Chris and Mark and I said, hey guys. And he's like, Britt, what are you doing here? I'm like, really, Mark?
Really?
What am I doing here? Like,
can we shout out to him? Hey, stop hating and blocking me and being mean to me online. It sucks like ass. And you can call me irrelevant all you want, but you're talking about me, so I'm relevant.
And he will laugh at that and appreciate that. He'll say, you know what?
And you've had tea and coffee with my friends that I actually opened the door for you.
He'll be like, you know what? Unblock. Good for her. Yeah.
So go on.
So yeah, saw them all. So then we're hanging out in the city hall cells together, and like the boys are on one side and the girls are on the other side. And all of a sudden, shit starts backing up in the drain. In the girls' side.
Oh,
no, out of the floor and the toilet.
Oh.
So like Old City Hall is over 100 years old. Okay. Like all the pipes are probably lead. Obviously they had some plumbing issues.
Oh my God.
I have the worst gag reflexes for like terrible smells and disgusting shit ever.
Pardon the pun.
I just started like heaving, dry heaving. And then all the other girls are like, oh my gosh, like don't do it. Cause if you're sick, I'm sick. So then this heaving and heaving and heaving. So then they brought us over to like right beside the boys, right? So then there's me and Aaron and Jody and Mark and Chris, and we're like all just talking to each other like, oh, this is interesting, isn't it? And there was this one guy.
So this is the first time you guys have all been close together.
Right, yeah. Okay. And you know, Mark and Jody had their own ventures in Milton jail and stuff. Right. And Mark's been to jail, I believe, 37 times for cannabis. So for him, it's nothing new at all. It was just another, you know.
He should be the cannabis
just like,
influencer.
Right, just punching in on the old clock, you know what I mean?
Oh, he's the Prince of Pot, right?
Yeah, punching in on the old clock. So for him, it wasn't a big deal. But Jody's never been in jail ever. She's never been arrested.
So that was her first experience.
That was her first experience. Yeah. And like they grabbed them from the airport aggressively, and nobody knew where they were for 9 hours. The lawyer Jack wasn't contacted, so like they had a much different experience than myself, and I'm thankful in many ways I wasn't at the airport because I would have gotten that same crappy
Your Spidey
experience.
sense, get out of this airport.
And you know, when I was sitting in jail after everything happened, I was like, wow. Like what vibes? Like that was, you get one chance to listen to your gut and either you take it or you don't take it. And like my suggestion is take it because that was crazy. And so
my gut led me to Leicester.
That's cute.
Our control room's a total ass, but my gut keeps saying he's not.
That's so funny.
Just kidding.
So then they're like, okay, got us all rounded up. The 5 of us handcuffed us to each other, which was much better than carrying dead weight, I gotta say. And they bring us into an elevator because at Old City Hall, the cells are in the basement. So they bring you to an elevator and we come up the elevator and all of a sudden I hear just a rumble. And I'm like,
is it media?
It's media. It's every person from my store, customers, like anybody I could have ever imagined in my life. So you have to imagine the 5 of us plus 2 bailiffs. Are they bailiffs? I don't know.
In my mind, they are going.
Yeah, the two court guys are there, and the 5 of us are in the elevator, and all of a sudden the doors open, and like the cameras just start flashing.
Paparazzi.
Like, I felt like O.J. Simpson. And it was crazy.
Big, yeah.
It was that big. There were media everywhere. Like, I looked up on the stairs and I saw my husband and my father-in-law and my
Well, the police tried
mother-in-law.
stunting on you guys. They tried to make you guys look like there was the worst thing in the world going on.
Right. So it was
deal.
walking out of there was crazy. Like, that was an experience.
Did you cry?
No.
Oh.
I was like, don't smell me.
Don't smell me. I say that here every Skype day.
They're like, don't smell me. I don't know.
No, I don't.
It was like the Twilight Zone. Like, it was foggy. I can't even really remember. And then going into court, they had all 5 of us in the row. There were a few pictures taken, which is illegal, but like they're amazing historical pictures of
Have you seen them? You've got them?
Yeah, like my friends were the ones that were taking them, and
Right.
me and Aaron and Jody are all in a line in the courtroom, and the caricatures, the drawings are really cool.
Oh, okay. Do you have
Like,
access to those?
Yeah, like they're public records, so we have access to all of them. That was
I want
really
those
cool.
for part of our
That'll be-
podcast.
it'll be in the book.
Yeah,
It'll be in the
book.
we had the
I
big
can
OG
get them.
here in the studio.
For sure.
Mm.
And then they started reading off our charges, and
Okay.
I was like, they charged us with conspiracy to commit an indictable offense, which in America, this is a RICO charge, right?
Right.
It's one of the biggest charges that they can throw down at you. It's a charge that goes along with money laundering, racketeering, real criminal shit.
Yeah.
And the reason why they do that is to plead guilty to cannabis trafficking. So they hit you with a major charge so that you're not getting off. You're not getting a discharge. You have to plead guilty.
Oh my god.
So,
Oh my god.
yeah, so that was very scary. And then they imposed the bail conditions, right?
Which are
Not allowed to go to any cannabis related business, not to talk to Mark or Jody, Aaron or Chris, seized passport.
Oh, God.
I had to report to like my bailiff all the time.
Do you have like a curfew and
Yeah. Well,
stuff?
how long are the durations?
I was sentenced in 2018, December 2018. So I was on bail for quite some time. But whatever. I had this girl named Natasha that looked just like me but blonde that would go around and have her fun. And
You're awesome.
yeah.
So, but were there like curfews and stuff? You had
No.
all this.
Right.
No curfews.
No curfew.
No curfews.
Couldn't go to the States.
Couldn't
go to the-
wasn't able to go to the
Couldn't
States
go to any
already.
dispensaries.
No.
Couldn't hang around. I mean, Burnett.
No, like
Girl.
Natasha was cool. She did her thing.
Mm.
But yeah, like for me, most of my I was severely restricted in a lot of ways. So
But was he your husband at the time? Was he also was he arrested for something as well? Like he was on bond. Would he be considered a criminal or someone you weren't allowed
it's
near?
like if you're married, they can't do that.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Because I was like, oh,
yeah, like
Yeah,
you're
but
not
you have to
allowed.
get your own house.
Yeah, like
'cause
you're
we're-
not-
Real bullocks.
Like you're not allowed to associate with X, Y, and Z. But he
Okay.
wasn't because you're married. It was not. So my father-in-law was my surety and signed $100,000 bail
Oh wow.
if I were to mess up again. So I had to take that very seriously.
Jesus, in the
Mhm.
olden days, they gave you a goat and an apple or something, and now he's got to get
Called it a
Things have
grapple.
changed. Things have changed.
$100,000.
Man.
Wow.
Yeah, so and then I just went home. Like they released us and it was after hours because it was just so crazy for the media. They didn't want to do it with like everybody all there. So they held us until like 8 or 9 o'clock at night and then released us out the side door, and it was one of the coldest days of the year. And all the media was still there.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah, and they just let us out, and it was freezing.
Did you guys all hug and like?
Yeah, I guess.
were you like,
well,
what?
we were only allowed being together in the presence of our lawyer at that point.
Oh,
So it's like
so what happens? They release you and what? Where do you go? What do you do?
my husband's already there.
Okay.
The news is already there, so they're all asking questions. How do you feel? Blah 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 blah. And I got in my car and I called my best friend Joanna, who's like
a still good friend.
yeah, she's like a worry Sally though.
Oh,
Like,
yeah?
I knew she was crying more than I was, so I called her and she was first like, "Oh my god,
Oh my god.
like I'm fine, girl, don't worry."
So did you guys tell the news your story at that time?
We have to be very careful what we were saying because we were out on bail and we hadn't had our sentencing yet, right? So
Mhm.
my lawyer advised us that, just say it was a shitty time and free cannabis, and like it's all available online if you guys wanted to check it out or whatever. But yeah, so then I went back to Hamilton, saw Still Open Dispo was there, and like,
Still open dispo.
I have a picture of it too. I'm shocked that I had it, but then they changed the name.
Mhm.
I, stayed home and did my thing. And it went from Cannabis Culture, the brief 2 days still open dispo. And then they changed their name to Hamilton Village Dispensary.
Right.
And Hamilton Village Dispensary and Cannabis Culture had some interesting drama with the local BIA. She hated
BIA.
Business Improvement Area.
I've been
you.
to those meetings. They're early in the morning. You
Right.
get breakfast.
Yeah. So the building itself is in the International Village, which is an important BIA downtown. It holds, the Schnitzel Haas.
Yes.
Yeah. And like other
Well said.
HAUS.
Well said.
Haas. I want to open
HAUS.
Yeah, I want to open a restaurant called the Schnitzel Haas. I feel like that would be really fun.
Oh, yeah?
When
Yeah.
they fire me here, I'll be.
Can you wear
I'll gladly
can
work
you wear
in the
lederhosen?
Yes, and my panda head.
Yes.
That would be awesome.
It would be awesome.
My lederhosen.
So conveniently,
Panda head.
the logo was designed after the International Village logo and Hamilton Village Dispensary, and kind of poked the bear at the BIA for being a little shyster.
Mm-hmm.
And they continued on, and they trekked on for until August, and then a city injunction was served, and that was
2018.
Yep.
Okay.
And that store was bumping. Like, that store was busier than Cannabis Culture. That store was crazy and so much fun if I was there. So
I saw a blonde there look just like you. Go on.
I was gonna say that, but
Natasha?
let's keep it moving.
Yeah, keeping it moving. That store was incredible, and it was a really cool experience to drive past and see all the lines outside the door and stuff. So City of Hamilton sends an injunction over, and thank the Lord that Jack Lloyd Law was on the case and won an injunction to serve medical cannabis and medical cannabis only. So obviously Hamilton Village Dispensary and Cannabis Culture were not medical stores. So what they did was overnight they opened a store in Hess Village called the Blue Ox.
Oh, okay.
And
I know where that is.
Yep.
Or was.
Yep. So then they transferred all their recreational customers to the Blue Ox, and the medical customers stayed there, and they like followed the injunction and were good until the Pink Elephant came along, which is it was a dispensary, and they decided, our group of people and the owner of the building had parted ways, and he went recreational and had a great time and was open until an unfortunate robbery that one of the employees were shot. Not killed, shot in the leg.
Injured. Okay.
Yeah, injured, and then it was seized by the police. So that was kind of the end for that building. And the Blue Ox was happily opened until Labor Day weekend 2018, where they offered all their customers like 40 or 50% off and said, thank you so much for everything you've done for us, and we hope that you enjoyed our service, and like Godspeed. And they shut their doors.
And Georgia Peach was at the other end, wasn't it?
It was across Hess. So the Blue Ox was on one side on George Street.
Okay.
And then Georgia Peach was on the other side of Hess, like inside the village, right behind MMJ.
Okay.
So that was like a crazy pocket of dispensaries down there. It was
It's also where I get my Botox.
Looks great. Looks great. So like years of dispensary history, like, directly or indirectly.
So all that spun off like from there, like it was like now it's 10, then it's 20, then it's 30, then it's 50, then it's like 90 dispensaries in the city of Hamilton.
And it was really cool to be a part of and to be inspiration. Like I met so many people that came into my store and were just like, this place is beautiful, and then opened their own store. And like, I'm never mad at that. I like to think that, there were some that pissed me off that were
Can you name one?
No. They just pissed me off because they'd be handing out business cards on.
Can you just whisper it to me through the wall?
Oh, man.
It's on Canon.
Oh.
Handing out business cards on my doorstep.
Oh, that's not fair.
Joke?
Oh, serious?
Oh, yeah.
That's
and
not nice.
Here's the thing is it's an illegal business, so tell me where the rules are.
Yeah.
Right.
Tell me where people are going to follow guidelines. So in,
in that space,
the 3-year span of the dispensing, like
Get your chip.
directly or indirectly, we had the building was Molotov cocktailed.
What?
I never
The
heard
Cannabis
that one.
Culture overnight. So did you ever see when the windows were boarded up, like on the front? That was from a Molotov cocktail overnight. So we just boarded up the windows and trekked on, right? Because when So they took a rock and they threw a rock through the window first, and then they threw the bottle through the window after the window was
Who
broken.
was it? Do we know who it was?
No.
We don't.
No.
Do we allege or do we?
They watched a lot of movies.
Yeah, not getting in. No, obviously they didn't because they're like, it went out as it was being thrown.
Oh,
like,
is it really?
yeah, like all it did was smash and break my window, and I was like, cool, great effort, guys, great effort. So that happened, and then the Blue Ox, somebody Molotov cocktailed again, except for they got the apartment next door and almost killed 2 people.
Oh damn!
And their whole home.
I'm trying to think. Is that before Doors? You know, Doors or Doors Dudes or whatever they are. Is that on that same side? It's a band. It's an old bar down on Hess Street.
It's not on Hess Street. It's on George Street.
So
when you were
up. So up.
Yeah. So when you were driving down Main Street, did you ever see a neon green pot leaf?
Yeah.
That's that store. That's the Blue Ox. The neon pot leaf was my bat signal.
Okay.
Right. So it was cool. But so Molotov cocktail into the neighbor's house. They lost everything.
Oh my God.
And like their townhouses. So the Blue Ox was connected and there was tons of smoke damage. And the next day, mysteriously, Honey Pot opened 2 doors down. Mysteriously. So
so you have your suspicions.
Yeah. So they got out the Blue Ox got out a generator and were selling that day. They didn't close. They didn't let them stop. And
you guys are some fighters.
Yeah. So then and that was actually raided after too as well. And there was a secret little place there and they never found it. And it was just really cool stuff, you know?
So when things get raided, like the things like as far as bongs and accessories, does that all get taken as well?
No. But back in the day, like during the Cannabis Culture days when they were selling bongs and seeds, they would smash everything.
Oh.
They would destroy the display cases. They would destroy all the bongs. They would destroy all the glass. Like Cannabis Culture's been through the trenches when it comes to raids.
So to put you out of business, so you can't open up 8 hours later.
Correct. Like, and I don't know if you guys know this, but Tommy Chong was arrested for selling bongs over state lines back in the day. So it was actually
his son's bongs, weren't they?
Yeah, yeah. So it's actually a really big deal selling bongs back then. So Cannabis Culture's been through it all. But again, Hamilton cops, nothing but respect, would walk in, take what they needed, and walk out. So. Yeah, they never destroyed anything.
It's like, soon I'm going to be in the business.
So here we are, like, legalization happens. Where are you for all of that? And what's happening with legalization? What does that do to all of your dreams?
So after I was arrested.
Not even your dreams, like what you're actually doing.
What am I doing? That's the question. So after I was arrested, I got arrested in March, was on bail, partied all summer, had the best summer ever, and then got pregnant in September on plan. And I had a kid because I was forced into retirement. Like I can't go to a store. I can't own a store. I can't do anything. Right. So I was like, okay, this is my window of opportunity to have a kid without having the pressures of my career on my shoulders. So that's what I did. And in January, I took over a cannabis-friendly Airbnb in the old Cannabis Culture building.
That's okay. That's what I didn't know for sure when you sent me the pictures in the video. That's the old Cannabis Culture.
That's the old Cannabis Culture building. So now the second floor and the third floor are cannabis-friendly Airbnbs.
And they're really nice.
Beautiful.
Like they're really
beautiful.
Nice.
The owner of the building put in like a fair amount of money to make it beautiful, and they're gorgeous.
They're really, really nice.
I gotta say, it's interesting dealing with short-term rentals and all the different people and personalities that come through the building. And you know, there's obviously stuff gets broken sometimes, and it's weird for me because like when I'm there, the soul of the building is not there. You know, like
it just feels totally different.
Yeah, like we were serving at our peak, we were serving 1,300 people a day.
Wow.
And now it's empty. You know,
I'm gonna ask a real personal question and a nosy question, and let everyone lean in for this. So even if you get $1 a day from everyone, where does all that go? Proceeds of crime? Is it taken from you? Is it spent on lawyers? Is it whatever? Is it your nest egg? Is it retirement? What happens?
So
briefly, you don't have to give
There's a lot that goes into lawyer fees. Obviously, it's not cheap being on bail and having to pay a lawyer every month. And on top of our retainer, we had to pay a pretty large lump sum for the sentencing and all that stuff. One of my best friends, her sons tragically had brain cancer, and we were donating $10,000 a month to him and his naturopath conditions. And we did food fundraisers, and we were doing as much good as we could
in the community that needed this.
Yeah, we were doing as much good as we could for sure. I paid my employees the highest of any other dispensary in Hamilton, so They started at $20 an hour and made their way up to like 35.
Okay, because we're on employees. So if they get arrested, do they have to hire their own lawyers or everything, or do you guys take care of that, or do you help with that, or what's the deal, or is it just something? It's part of the job. If you apply here and you're going to work here, you better be ready.
That's part of the risk.
Under my program, I paid for everybody's lawyers and I paid for everybody's fines as well, which isn't.
That's not the norm now.
That's
That's
not
not
the
the standard
protocol.
now.
It doesn't happen.
Right?
And even a few of the employees I don't talk to anymore and didn't talk to really during the whole process, just because, you know, there's hurt when somebody's arrested and
Right.
stuff like that. And I still paid their lawyers' fees. Like their lawyer told me how much the fine was. I paid the fine. Like I've done good by everybody, and I've taken the fall for everybody
Right.
too. So I'm the one who has the biggest charges. I'm the one who went down the most. Everybody else is like, there was only one other person who was arrested that has a little bit of a record, and that's because he already had a record. So there's nothing I could do to prevent that.
Right.
So
I'm sorry to ask that question.
no, of
I was
course.
just curious.
No, it's a good question.
and there's a lot of people who don't pay for lawyers and screw their employees.
Because
And
I've read that in the paper and stuff. Do people still read the paper?
Right.
But seriously, I have read and heard that they're, like they're sort of these kids or these early 20s. They go in, they're all excited to be bud tenders and really excited to be part of this whole culture and this community. And then when raids and arrests happen, they're left stranded. They're left out in the, they've got bills.
That's
now.
what everybody thought. That's
That's
why
what
all the
that's
young
why I
kids
wanted
were
to
put up
ask.
front.
yeah, no. It was me put up front for both my stores.
So the guy said earlier you had like a comedy lounge, or there was a comedy. What was that?
Yeah, that was Cloud9. So that was the Vapor Lounge on the second floor.
Oh.
And we had Wednesday night comedy shows.
Who was any comedians I would have known or anybody?
Dan T. Peters.
Is he from Hamilton?
Yep.
Okay.
They're all the local comedians.
Oh, okay, local
It
stuff.
was the whole scene. So it was all Hamilton comedians. Some came from Toronto, but I tried to support local as much as possible. And
It's just crazy to see that we're in 2.0 and you are the beginning of the explosion.
yeah.
Well, she's just coming back reinvented for 2.0. She's just figuring out where she's landing in this, right?
Yeah, so I have a few operator applications in here and there, and legally I'm not allowed to be a cannabis operator. So
Are you allowed to consult? Are you allowed to be a consultant?
I can be a retail manager.
Okay.
So if, one of my family members or something does stumble across an operator license, I'm allowed to be in the building. I'm allowed to operate the store. The AGCO just wants to ensure that I'm not doing anything illegal anymore. And look, Gage Cannabis. See that, AGCO?
Okay, I'm going to ask a super heavy question.
Okay.
You mentioned Aaron.
Yep.
Working for Friendly Stranger.
Yep.
Yeah.
Here it comes.
And that's in your in your heavy heart situation. You guys all go off to jail.
Here's
arrested.
my thing.
Yeah, how do you feel?
It's
Do we all got to pay our bills? Does that mean we're not bad people, or what? What's your take?
Here's my thing is it's very close in my circle, and it's taken a group of my best friends and literally split them at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always been a person to analyze all sides and think in all sides. And I know that there's a very large history between Cannabis Culture and the Friendly Stranger,
right,
with trademarking and other stuff like that. And I also know that Erin has to provide for her family, and she has to pay the bills. And I know that Erin applied at every other store in Hamilton, and I've listened to her struggle about not being hired, and the Friendly Stranger was just the last one on the list to pick her up. And I wish her good luck on her first day of work. I'm not gonna
so I know I just hit on a massive nerve in the family and the cannabis culture. They were sharing it all over Twitter. I actually reached out to Jody and I was like, microdose some more. I see you're hurt, but you've got a bigger mission and a bigger whatever. Everyone's got to take care of their own. It'll work its way. What's meant to be will meant to be. You've all got bigger missions than social media drama. I understand her feelings.
I'm very much a person to stay out of drama, and
but Jackie just slip and slides right into that.
Right, that's cool. That's cool as long as it's not surrounding me.
Right.
Cannabis Culture has had its fair amount of dramatic experiences, and I have kept my head low of all of them, and I would like to keep it that way.
Right. So are you, even though it's like friendly fire, can you be with both sides, all sides?
Oh, yeah. They would neither would say, I want you to stop talking to Erin or I want you to stop talking to Jody.
That's good.
Oh yeah. you know, I don't think that anybody has a right to say that to any person.
For real.
So
Yeah.
I've built relationships with all of them.
I try that shit around here all the time, but they're not doing it.
No.
My relationship with Cannabis Culture is a little bit deeper than Aaron's because I was out there working with them directly, whereas Aaron was employed by Vapor Central up until the Cannabis Culture Dispensary a few years ago.
Okay.
So, you know, my roots to CC are from 2009. And while Vapor Central and Cannabis Culture had worked closely together, there wasn't a super direct connection. They worked together on 420 and stuff like that. But like, I am loyal to Cannabis Culture until the day I die. And I don't know why that is. They gave me
grew up with them.
Yeah, you know, 20 years old. I got the job there. I'm 32 now and still loyal. And
your gut and your vibe and smells, as I say, like the whole thing is around Cannabis Culture.
Yeah,
like
it's just, you know, like I named the Airbnbs Cannabis Culture Hamilton, and we're gonna try and push short-term rentals and start up Cannabis Culture suites and approach people from around the world who have cannabis-friendly Airbnbs that need a little bit of help promoting it.
I thought the police tried to squash that name.
Fuck the police.
Well said.
Isn't that a song by who sings that?
NWA.
Yeah.
Get with the times. Yeah. No, so what happened was the 5 of us weren't allowed to operate under the Cannabis Culture name while on bail. So once we pleaded guilty, then that went away.
Okay.
Yeah. So Cannabis Culture, like, it existed the whole time where all of us were on bail. Jody just couldn't go to the building.
Oh.
So, or work directly with it. But as soon as that was all over, it was all back up and good to go.
Serious Gangsta here, the OG Hamilton Cannabis.
Yeah,
Not only Hamilton, I mean
I
Ontario,
didn't
Canada
know I
Cannabis.
was gonna get the privilege of getting it
On this
inside.
snowy day.
Yeah, the inside of that story, because I actually, like, part of my everyday was driving by that and seeing what was going on. And then,
High
like
Cannabis,
I said, being
most
a customer,
influential in the cannabis
downtown
space.
Hamilton.
Yeah, that
Right?
was that store was an amazing thing to see. And it was
transformation of the whole city.
every day I'm thankful that I was a big part of it, and I wouldn't have changed a thing. Like, I don't care about the States. I can go there when I'm 40. Harry Potter world will still be there. That's all I want.
It will.
Take me to Harry Potter world. Good.
So on a lighter note,
Uh-oh.
she's going to teach us how to do something.
Oh, cool.
So, you know, when I'm scrolling and I'm like a gnat, or I have the attention span of a squirrel or whatever.
That's like me too.
I'm going.
A flying squirrel.
I'm going through Instagram like, what? Oh, I know her. What's she doing? So I watched the video. What were you doing?
Cool.
And you're do it just how you did it. You do the talk. You do your initial, not to make fun of anyone with coronavirus, or not to make light of the situation or whatever.
No.
She had a really good video. Okay.
So here's the thing is, in my experiences,
she just kicked
I
my
don't know
dog.
what that was.
No, just kidding.
I was just gonna. Never mind.
What's she gonna do?
You kicked my dog?
Yeah. You just kicked my dog.
Oh.
No.
Okay, so
She didn't.
So
Oh my
in my
God.
travels at CC, there's always people coming in and out of the offices saying hi and like, I'm so happy to be here and thank you so much and let's smoke a joint together.
Right.
And there's a man there named Greg Williams, and he's one of the original BC3 that got arrested for the cannabis seeds with Mark back in 2005.
Right.
And he's old school. You know, he's probably, I don't know his exact age. I don't want to offend him, but I think he's like in his 60s somewhere.
A little older than me.
Yeah. Like double my age. But
Okay.
Okay.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
he's
Before it gets to Lester's age.
Yeah.
Continue.
How old are
Shots
you?
fired.
He'll
Pew,
never
pew.
tell. He won't
Hey.
tell.
Pew.
I found out through
My
my
God.
husband, but
All right. So let's keep it moving.
yeah, see that?
43.
You're good. I
He's
like
about
you.
110 years
Was I
older
right?
than that.
You're not right, but I like you anyways.
Wow, you're older than that? You look great.
Why do you gotta say that?
Doesn't
like
he?
that?
Sorry. Yeah, you look
Why does
fantastic.
everybody
When he
instantly
told
have
me
to
how
go
old he was, I
up?
was shocked.
Why
so
can't
all the girls I was
anybody
trying to
actually
send
go
his
down?
way, I
Okay.
just
Huh?
You're 26.
I like
Perfect.
you even
Oh,
more.
stop it.
You're juicy.
Stop it.
All right.
okay.
Juicy. Don't hit the table.
I'm eating the chips off the table.
Okay. So Greg Williams, old school hippie. I was always complaining about getting sick while sharing joints with everybody because that's the culture. Everybody shares.
Not in
everybody
Jamaica.
loves.
They all have their own. Have
Right.
you noticed that? Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a lot cheaper in Jamaica as
Hey,
well.
it's more,
That's
way
true.
more plentiful. Right?
Yeah, like they're all growing it themselves.
Right.
So come to CC, and I don't know you, or like, you know, I just question.
I've seen your girlfriend, Funky.
Like I question, you know, something. Maybe I saw you sneeze, or maybe I saw you sneeze or whatever. So I don't want to share a joint with you. And Greg Williams showed me this old school trick, and actually I shared the video to Cannabis Culture, and a bunch of people are like, who is this white bitch, like, thinking she's teaching something new? And I'm like, first of all, what does me being white have to do with anything?
Yeah, a lot, apparently.
Like, I'm just some dumb white bitch.
Yeah.
Great.
I own that.
And that's but like those assholes literally will judge me without knowing me, you know? Because when
I own that too.
During all my like gangster times, I was a fiery redhead, so like I'm kind of unrecognizable. Anytime I've ever gotten arrested, my hair was bright red, so I'm never gonna do
she's
that
in
again.
the shadows.
Wait, is that the natural?
now.
Are you natural red?
No, it was like Rihanna red,
Okay.
like bright red. It was.
I'm gonna Google the shit out of this later.
Yeah, and a cop literally said, "I liked your hair better brown."
Oh.
I'm like, well,
Oh, damn.
too bad I'm not like trying to appease old stupid fucks. Fuck.
You
Sorry,
fuck.
mind my language.
We're allowed to swear.
You're all right.
Okay.
So let's go on.
Okay, cool. So chillum joint, right? You don't
Chillum?
wanna, yeah, chillum.
Chillium.
It's a type of pipe. So basically,
That's what Dank Duchess deals with. But anyways,
okay.
yeah.
So I'm gonna light this first, and obviously the first person that lights it has to put their mouth on it. So like, if it's your joint, I suggest that being you,
Okay.
right? So you light your joint. Good to go. So then you take your joint. It's like I've done this before. You take your joint and you hold your hand like this,
Mhm.
and you take your joint and you put it. It might not work with my rings, but you put it like that, right?
Okay.
So that it's in the center. Make sure it's not too close to your hand so it doesn't burn you, because that happens. So then you
We
make
have insurance here. Go on.
I have perfect. So you make a tight fist, and then you take your bottom fist and you put it like that and wrap it around so that it's pretty much airtight, right? So then you'll see like there's a hole in the front. You see the hole, everybody?
Yep.
Right? So then you take it and you just go, you go like this.
You're just sucking from the hand. It's like you
Sucking from your hand.
Your hands,
Okay.
or you-
Yeah.
it's not the hot box. What did I
There
call
you
it?
go. Give it a shot.
What do I call it? Not a hot box. What do I
Super.
Oh my god.
call it? No, I call it. You know when you fart under the blankets? What's that called?
Dutch oven.
A Dutch oven. Let's Dutch oven that thing, Lester. Dutch oven that shit.
My husband and I actually have separate blankets.
Yeah.
Oh yeah? Which one uses lighting off the cannons?
Both.
Okay.
But
So
yeah,
it's a good work.
I
So
love
we
a
have,
good Dutch oven on a winter night.
we have twin duvets on a king size bed. So now you
So hold
make
like
the seal
that.
tight. Yeah, make the seal.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, and now suck.
I don't know. Is he
Yeah,
gonna
it's
get any
going.
smoke?
Yeah, you
Is
can
it?
see the cherry lighting up.
I think I need
Oh,
to
it
put
worked.
that
No, it
dab
worked.
more.
Yeah, like if the way my hands work, it works with those fingers. But I've seen people put them in the middle.
It's called
or the
it's like a
third-
chillum. pipe.
chillum,
Chillum.
chillum joint.
Chillum.
Because a pipe is an actual piece.
The chillum
yeah,
pipe.
it's
is
just
the
like
actual-
a skinny thing.
Where's this from? Where does this originate? Where did they start this?
Like I shared it on Cannabis Culture, and some people were saying I used to do this in the '60s, and I forgot all about it. So like
oh, cool.
we don't know where it originated.
During the herpes
you know?
outbreaks.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
You know?
In the 60s.
Yeah, so you just it's a cool way to. I thought it'd be a relevant video to share. I haven't really
I liked it.
shared any
I shared it
videos
right away. I
lately.
was like,
I'm
this
like,
is cool.
I'm like, out of everything I've done, the chillum joint brings me to
yeah, and then I.
cannabis
So then everybody just
and then
passes.
I messaged
So everybody
everybody.
then just passes the joint around, puts it in between their hand, and smokes it like that. So
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so
it's
there's
your
no-
own hands you're smoking off of.
Okay.
You're not touching the end of the joint.
yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's really, really
And
cool.
it saved me from many colds in my time.
I bet. I mean, we get sick after every conference, every expo, every whatever.
I know.
We're all sick.
And you know, nobody will be offended if you do this. I'm telling you that right now because I've done it so many times and
It's
never.
kinda fun.
Some people actually say like, "Hey, what is that you're doing?" and they're curious about it,
Mhm.
not so much taking offense. And if you feel like somebody may take offense, just say, "I'm sorry, I'm coming down with a cold and I don't want to share it with you."
Right. It's
So
so
that-
yeah.
right?
That's just being super polite.
That was my first time trying it, so I got
That's
no
cool.
objections.
I mean, during the coronavirus.
I need some
then.
practice.
Right. Yeah, but anything with time. But
some
yeah, it's
practice.
a cool way to say like, "I'm
You were an
sorry,
extremely
I'm
cool
sick.
guest.
Like maybe my
Wasn't she
throat might
great
hurt."
guest?
Yeah.
On the green room, this is what I have for coronavirus.
Oh man. Do you
This
guys
is-
see what's popping here right
this
now?
is-
Do you got some like fuzzy things going on, or what are they? Furries?
Oh, furry is a fetish.
Furries are
This
cool.
is just my
Oh, yeah?
coronavirus mask. They
Why? What
they
are
didn't-
furries?
Furries are like it's a sexual fetish thing where people have sex in costumes like that.
Oh, that's what furries are.
Yeah.
Yes. Have you seen the pictures of me online in these big like Chewbacca suits?
Stop it.
Yes. Because the people like that.
That's hilarious. Just doing it for the people.
Yeah.
Me too.
Doing it for the likes. Doing it for the gram.
Me
Man,
too.
today's been a banger.
Yeah.
Bang.
Jackie's got a furry costume at home. I'll bring that next.
Brittany,
People like to touch
a
it.
total pleasure, man.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. I'm
Yeah.
happy I could like fulfill your chillum dreams.
I'm really excited that you came.
And I'm happy I got you high a few times.
Mm.
You know, the best part about the whole experience in Hamilton is how many people I've collectively got high from me taking the jump, right? So
For
I'm
real.
not trying to take credit for the 94 stores, but like they,
No, but you have to be.
they got a lot of people high. So
and cool
You
sharing
have
your
to be.
story and sharing your story without like, oh, I can't say that or I can't say that or we
hashtag no
shouldn't talk.
filter.
Yeah, like that's great. I like that.
Well, you know,
That's-
okay, listen, we can never forget the part what happened here. Through all this whole story we talked about with the dispensaries and what started from you guys to what ended up happening with it ended up being, I know it was over 100
A
dispensaries
phenomenon.
inside Hamilton. The legal system cannot duplicate what went down there.
They're trying.
I don't know what it is, and I don't know why they don't go to the originators, but there was over 110 dispensaries inside the city of Hamilton that,
And that's 1,100 square kilometers. And every store had customers.
right?
Every store had customers. And I've been in a few legal stores now making my rounds, as I told you guys earlier. Jackie, can you just like chill? And like the head nod too. You're like, yeah. You're like, yeah, I get it. I hear what you're saying. Yeah.
I'm a very smart panda.
You know, I didn't see any sample jars in the stores, and they're allowed by law to have sample jars. The sample jars have to lock. They can't physically open. But I've seen really cool, like I've been doing research, obviously, in case for some miraculous reason I get picked to open a retail store. But there's jars that have like, that are acrylic, and they have sliders that you can slide to open and smell
Smell
the
it?
cannabis.
Okay.
And I haven't been in Honey Pot yet, and I think that they have sample jars, but I haven't seen the vibes. I haven't felt it. I haven't walked into a store and been like,
I was at Tokyo Smoke last night. I don't know how we feel about Tokyo Smoke, but Tokyo Smoke on Bloor Street, and they had these fancy jars with a little nug sort of dangling in it. You weren't allowed to touch it or smell it. You can't touch it or smell it, or
you can't touch the
whatever.
jar.
The jar you can.
Okay.
It's actually you can't move it. It's they're fixed where they are on the shelves with a
Okay.
little like a microscope or not a microscope, like a magnifying glass
Yeah.
on them. But that's it. So like I don't know about that experience. You can't smell. You can't like it's just I don't know.
Like I'm gonna have to.
do you go to a winery and you can't smell,
fucking
taste, or
love
touch?
wineries.
I
Oh
know.
my God.
It's an experience.
I'm
an
really gonna have
experience.
to figure it out, you know, because I want to open a store that's true to myself.
Mhm.
I want to open a store that's true to the culture.
What do you think of Superette?
Sorry.
Superette. Have you seen those
Superette.
stores?
Superette?
Superette.
No, I
Have you been?
haven't.
They're really cute.
Are
They're like
they?
little diners.
Cool.
But again, everything's behind lock and key. And
Right. So like I'm going to have to work really hard to anybody who I help open stores, or if miraculously I were to be a part of one. I need the vibes. Like I need the feelings. I need home.
yeah.
I need home. And to me, a weed store isn't a weed store if it doesn't smell like weed. So I'll literally be inventing a perfume that called THC is me, and like spraying the fuck out of myself and all my
Nice.
employees so that it smells like a weed store.
I don't know personal feelings or what the
Hey,
relationship
Jackie,
is.
you have some fuzzy on your lip.
Jesus.
Freaking a little excited there.
The hotbox lady, what's her name right now?
Abby Roach.
Abby Roach. So I don't know your story or your personal stuff with her, but when Abby Roach was on the show, remember she said, I tried to apply for this job. I tried to get involved in this. I wanted to do this movement. but I smelled like weed. And that was, like so when you just said, the smell, it
Don't worry
just
about that.
reminded me of her conversation that she said, some for the government or for politics, she smelled like weed.
Mhm.
And that was sort of,
Like I haven't really tried to apply for any jobs because I just don't care that much right now.
are you starting to care?
Yeah. Like now that Ontario retail is opening up, I'm definitely more interested. Like my eyes are open to things. Like when I
Right.
walked up to this building, I'm like, hey, this would make a really good weed store.
Wouldn't it? We got a ramp.
Right? Accessibility is huge.
Mhm.
I think we have a school around the corner though now.
Ah,
Those damn schools.
Right.
children.
Can't they just Google it?
Yeah, like I haven't applied for very much. I did work for an LP for like 4 or 5 months. It's called Heritage Cannabis Co. And it's a very small LP. It's more like they have lots of extraction machines and stuff like
cool.
that. And they work more in hemp
Okay.
and super corporate. Like
So tell me, why don't you care?
Why don't I care about what? Though?
Right yet to jump into the LP situation or to jump into something.
Like I worked for Heritage in 2019. I was like March to August or September when they hired me initially for retail, and then the lottery was announced. So it's like I had a job and I had a job plan and I had a track, and like retail is my thing. Like I love retail, right? So that's perfect, good to go. But then it was scrapped to a lottery, so I was doing nothing, and I basically just said like, look, I'm not just going to sit here and take money for doing nothing, because I'm not doing anything. When am I going to get fired? When is something going to happen? Like great company. I have nothing bad to say for them. It was for my first experience in the corporate cannabis world. It was fine. I was treated well for the most part. I don't know.
Not your thing.
Yeah.
And we'll see where it goes.
If retail opened, it would have been my thing. But it didn't open, so here I am. Like
here she is in the green room.
Yeah,
Brittany Guerra.
Guerra.
Is that Spanish?
Guerra, Italian, Portuguese, and Spanish for war.
Oh, that's right. It means war.
And when I got arrested, I was like, "Don't you know my name's Guerra?"
See, that's what I want, Queen of the South here.
Wow. All right, yo, it's been fierce. It's been fiery.
Cool, man. Thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for coming.
Fun.
Really
Anytime.
fun.
Listen, just don't forget to mention the green room in the book.
For sure. If you ever need anyone for pot and politics, I'm your
there
local
you
girl.
go.
So
Good.
Local.
Yeah.
I love it.
Pot and politics.
Right. So, guys, you know where cannabis talk is always fresh and a little bit
sticky.
Keep it locked to Cannabis Wiki, the green room. And we out.
Thanks.
Peace.
See you guys.
Bye.